my store was underneath a hotel. It was like a tourist traffic destination, right? So people came in wasted, strung out. You know, there was a lot of transient folk, a lot of houseless folk. Which, when you live in San Francisco, you know, after a while, they just become like your neighbors. Like, you just know them.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't bother you any longer because they saw you every day. They're like, I'm not going to get anything from her, you know? But I would, like, give them food. Like, as I'm leaving my store late at night with these bags of pastries, like, I was like the pastry godmother, just as people slept on the street, I just left bags of treats and ran away.
Oh, nice.
So nice.
And so if the rats didn't get to them, they got a little nice
Right,
treat.
you're welcome. It's a thought that counts. Anyway, but there was a man, and I worked blocks from where I lived, like 2 blocks, okay? And I lived in a dorm at the time. And there was this man who came in, and there was like a Facebook page about him. Oh my god, back in 2009.
Oh, I remember this.
His name was, I don't remember what his real name is, but he was called like the Lenny Kravitz of Sutter Street.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was good looking. He looked like Lenny Kravitz, like genuinely. But he
Delicious.
was creepy. I was 19 years old. He was much older than that. But always just tried to get me, and I didn't know him very well, but always tried to get me into situations where we were alone. He would like convince, mind you, I just moved to San Francisco. He would convince people that he knew went to the same school I did to find me and tell them to tell me I needed to call him. And I was like super weird. He'd show up to my store. He would go on dates with girls and be like, let's get coffee, and show up to my fucking store. One time he like grabbed my hand and put it against his chest and be like, do you feel what you do to my heart? Ugh. So gross. Psychopath though. And so one time he showed up at my store and I was like, well, I'm walking home. And thank God it's not midnight and people are outside, you know? So I walk outside. I get home and my dorm was on the 5th floor and my best friend was on the 2nd. So this guy was like, I'll just wait for you. And I was like, wait for me where? I'm not coming back down. Like, we're not hanging out. We're not friends. Stay away from me. And I went to my best friend's room and looked down, and he was an hour and a half later hanging out outside, just waiting for me to come outside. And was always trying to get people to come into my dorm to try and talk to me for him. He would have people find out what classes I was in, have people
creepy
in those classes try and get me to like talk to him. It was super fucking weird. And never was I alone with him. I went to a movie once, but this was like when I first moved there and had no idea who he was. And then everyone's like, he's creepy. And I was like, clearly, bitch. So, thanks a lot. But it was really unsettling. I had to like go to the authorities because I was like, I'm a young child and I'm gonna get trafficked.
I'm very fragile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And years later, he
Did you have legs like a gazelle? You could have kicked him and killed him.
I could have, but he my height, you know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah, he's not like a little person. Girl, it's not,
well,
I'm not
it's
Snow
always
White.
the little ones got something to prove.
Always
It's
the little ones
little
got something to prove, girl.
Uh-huh.
But it was uncomfortable living in the same area, seeing him everywhere. Wow. It was very uncomfortable. So, but I just had to like tell my school, I had to tell everyone about it because I was like, what happens if I'm walking home sometime and there he is? No, ma'am. And, you know, cafes sometimes, especially when their corporate ones don't close early.
Right.
So,
right. Ugh.
Scary, girl. Told you, stalkers.
Yeah. One of the ones I like to tell, one of the stories I like to tell, the one I told you I still reference to this day, which when it happened made me so angry.
Yeah.
I was working at hair salon. That's no longer there. Gary Lucky.
Oh, I remember.
And I'm for the most part I liked working there until the spousal equivalent or whatever you want, because they weren't married, but whatever, of the woman who owned it was put in charge. Yeah. Now, this motherfucker, he didn't know anything about doing hair.
No.
He was a carpenter. And he would do things like at our Christmas party, he would be like, all right, before we celebrate, can anybody tell me the percentage of new clients they had this year over last year, or the retention of... And he would start asking us all these like statistical numbers. I'm like, is this a test? I thought we came to a Christmas party. Mm-hmm. You know, well, so he was allowed one time to do our employee reviews. And it was my turn, lucky me. And I didn't like the man because he was too much.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, like one time we're at a Christmas party, we're at a restaurant. He stands up on his chair to tell his joke so that he makes sure he has everyone's attention. And it wasn't even a good joke. It was just like, we all hear you. You don't have to stand on the furniture. We're in a restaurant. Anyhow, so I'm in there talking to him, blah, blah, blah. And this guy was the most condescending motherfucker I'd ever met. And I was like, he had finished telling me all the things that were wrong with the way I worked and how.
Sure, I love that.
To which I just listened. Fine, whatever.
Aye.
But I said to him, and I said it just like this. I said, "Listen, Mark." I said, "I
don't care."
No, he said, "I'm sure you don't ever do this intentionally," which I'm not sure. I'm sure he did do it intentionally.
Yeah.
I said, "But sometimes the way that you speak to us comes across as rather condescending." And he says to me, without missing a beat, "Do you know what your problem is?"
Oh, God.
"No, but I'm sure as a man you're going to tell me what my problem is." And he said, "You're a woman with a lot of opinions that nobody wants to hear." If I didn't still need that job, I would have choked a motherfucker out. I'm like, and I'm done. And I got up and I was like, if I say anything further at this point,
I'm fired.
I'm fired because the shit that's going to come out of my mouth is going to be, hellfire and damnation. And it was like, he just said that to me. I'm a woman with too many opinions that nobody cares about.
And you're all, bitch, I know what I am.
I know I'm an opinionated woman, and I know that everybody is entitled to my opinion, first of all. Second of all, motherfucker, please.
How dare you.
So I just literally stood up, turned around, walked out, and he's like, we're done.
Oh, no, bitch. You trying to die today, motherfucker? We done.
I, from that point until I was done with that job, did not speak another word to that man, because I hate you.
And then after that, you bought the salon, yeah?
Yeah, it was right after that. Well, yeah, because it was not long after that they announced that they were closing. And I was like, well, I guess I better find myself another job.
And then that was the beginning.
Bought my salon.
That was a good
Can you
year.
believe that was 16 years ago?
I can, yes. It was a long ass
16 years
time
ago. That's crazy.
Those were the good old days, girl.
You were just a little girl.
When I worked part-time, and then at the times I wasn't working, I was just like with you at the salon 24/7. Girl, we hung out non-stop. Yes, I know, good times. The last thing I want to say about a job is I worked a lot of jobs, mostly retail, customer service, kind of like that. But most of the jobs I worked in, I have like a supervisory role, and it's always teamwork. Whether it's like in a cafe, you need to, someone's taking orders, someone's making drinks, whatever. Whether it's like I used to work at H&M, a giant H&M, and so like everyone has to play their part, or you're never getting out at night, right? But I realized I do love that because I don't love social interaction often, but when it becomes like my team of people that I see all the time, I get very close to them, right? And what builds camaraderie more, other than war, but putting all these people around the same age into an environment that is expected to use teamwork, but it's failing. Because it's mutual suffering, girl. You know what I mean? Then they're all like, well, we're in this together, and we're against them. And that's how it always plays out. Every job that I've ever had, where it's like a teamwork environment. It's like, well, we love each other. We hate management. We hate corporate. We hate the district. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to deal with them. And they don't. Many a time, I would insert myself as like the bridge. But often it doesn't work because, management has rules to follow, and sometimes employees don't want to. But also, sometimes management sucks. Sometimes scheduling sucks. Sometimes expectations are stupid. So it always kind of felt like, especially in times of like such strife at work, it was like revolution. You know what I mean? Half those kids, because some of them are young, feel like they're fighting for the cause. And I'm like, yes, bitch, we are. We are there.
So you are the finale of Les Mis, all with your arms in the air.
Yes, ma'am, we're all screaming, and we're like, this is like a local Target. What are you doing? Yeah, right? But it, and I don't know, I think it just builds like that unity, right? Because you don't want
unity of hate.
Exactly. We are unified because we hate you. That's why I'm unified with a lot of people that way.
Absolutely.
We hate the same person. Best friends,
Well, if you are my best friend and you hate someone, I hate them because it's my duty. I'm duty bound to hate whoever you hate. Yeah. That's the right thing to do.
I know. I agree with you. Okay, so now that it's like now it's time to say goodbye, maybe you should tell you're out of the drag closet.
Tales from the drag.
That, girl.
All right, I have a really quick, funny, silly story to tell you. So my friend Lenny Swerdlow, who owned the City nightclub, before that it was the Metropolis, and before that it was Mildred's Palace. But it was the underage club, queer club here in town. He would call me up and ask me to do different things. Like I filmed commercials for his club. Okay. By the way, he never paid me.
You don't need that.
No, he paid me to do shows there.
Exposure.
But like, Right, exposure. I got paid exposure for the commercials I did, which were seen at like super late night, whatever, cable access. Anyway, he calls me up and he says, I'm doing a show. We were invited to do a show for Pride at Portland Community College. Will you do it? And I was like, sure, why not? Because I'm thinking I'll make some tips, I'll do whatever. Now, I found out later when I started doing college shows that they pay you, and they pay you well. So he obviously, pocketed that. Anyhow, but that's all not the point. So, it's in the middle of the day.
Perfect time for a drag show.
Perfect time for a drag show. So I show up at his club downtown, full drag, noon, whatever. And
I love it.
My friend, who was also in the show, had to walk. She lived downtown, and so she walked from her apartment in full drag to the club. Fell into a ditch. And some little girl, thankfully it wasn't a deep ditch. We're in the city, for God's sakes. Some little girl who's walking with her mom was like, Mama, that man can't even walk in those low heels. But we get out. So we get there. We all gather together. We go out to the college. And we're so excited when they show us where we're performing because it's actually in a theater. Like on a real theater stage.
So
And I was like,
thespians.
ooh, a theater. And I'm like, cool beans. Where's the sound system?
And they're like, no, you're performing in the dungeon. I'm
like,
sorry.
no, we got to perform on the stage. It was a beautiful stage. Which reminds me, I have to tell you about the Paris Theater sometime.
Oh.
But anyway, theater stage, wonderful, beautiful, no sound system.
Did you sing it out a cappella?
Nobody wants that.
Okay.
So they literally did the old boombox, whatever, and I'm like,
to a microphone.
To a theater. Come on now.
I'm obsessed with
yes,
it.
boombox into a microphone. So because they have speakers, but they had no musical, whatever. And I asked the man who running the joint, I was like, where's your spotlight? It's a theater, you have to have a spotlight.
Yeah.
Oh, we rent a spotlight for all of our occasions. And you didn't rent one for today? And he's like, no, but I think I have something that'll work. The
was it a Gigan light?
No! It was a fucking overhead projector. Yes, so he puts it in, and so, because they will shine a bright light.
Yes, ma'am.
And when they wanted to do special effects, he literally was running his hand over the top of the light to make it strobe. Oh my god!
Are you kidding?
But whatever. It was fun. We had a good crowd. They liked it. They cheered. Whatever.
Did they give you tips?
And then Lanny. No, I don't think we made any tips. Maybe a few bucks. Who cares?
Well, maybe if you have a fucking overhead projector.
Who right? And you weren't singing from a boombox. But then he took us all out to lunch. Well, he took a pack of drag queens in drag.
Oh my god!
To lunch in a downtown restaurant. It was a nice restaurant too. And I'm all. Really?
I love it.
But whatever, we had fun, we had good food, and a good story because God knows, really overhead projector for a life.
God, but early days of drag, and I mean, I know those aren't even like the earliest, but those are early days of drag before it was like
one of the
super
things,
commercialized.
Well, right, because then nobody expected they had to pay drag queens. Like when I did my show, and I again did my show for 20 years. I got paid minimally, but I got paid more than the girls doing my show. Yeah. And I had nothing to do with the pay, so it wasn't like I could say, you need to pay these girls more. They got paid in drink tickets.
Ew.
And so they would get like two drink tickets. If they wanted more than that, they had to buy them. And then they would get, I want to say like $2 for every song they performed. And then whatever tips they would get from the audience, And I'm sure for their taxes, they received 0 tips ever.
Yeah.
But, that was really what it was. And people were like, oh, what, we have to pay you? Yes, bitch, this is a job.
Yeah, honey.
And costumes are expensive, makeup's expensive, wigs are expensive. It was, I used to just say it's a very expensive hobby because virtually no one made money at it.
Yeah. But now that's changed.
That's all changed.
But,
and people are kind of salty about it because they don't want to pay the girls. But it's like any other artist that people are like, we're going to pay you an exposure. I can't pay my bills with exposure. I'm going to call up PGE and say, can I just give you exposure?
Do you know who I am?
This week? Right. No.
This business thinks I'm fantastic.
Good Lord. But that brings us to the end of another show. That one seemed to just fly right by.
Didn't it? Because we talked about 2 jobs.
I know.
Out of our 85 years
and we
of
didn't
work.
talk about Steve Jobs.
No.
Because I know who he is, but I don't know anything about him.
I don't know.
Other than he gives lots of money to charity, so good for him.
dead.
Well, I know he's dead.
So he doesn't do anything.
He doesn't do anything now. He just lies there, I guess.